Hi everyone, welcome to All Four Queens 555. I'm back. Obviously, I've started posting again, but I did have a bit of a period where I didn't. One, because I'm going through my own ascension and learnings and things, and obviously, I'm going through some of the spiritual warfare storms and learning my lessons, as well as obviously going through what we all go through. The other part as well is obviously I stopped posting for a bit because I've got somebody that was copying me. So, um, and what I actually saw in one of my visions was somebody having a complete and utter meltdown because I wasn't putting anything on, so they couldn't take it. So I did actually get told to stop for a bit, and obviously I started doing something else. But I wanted to come back to it, and the reason why I wanted to come back on this one, I want to talk about domination. And what I want to talk about is, in terms of, we all know that people use domination in all sort of oppression and suppression and things like that. And obviously, one of the things that we all probably are subjected to, which is why I posted about the drinking thing in my water this morning, was in terms of people abuse the dark arts, people abuse spirituality. And they abuse the dark arts, and obviously there's always dark and there's always light. Obviously mine is prayer and God and the angels, and obviously we know that there are people that dabble in the dark, and obviously they use different things. But in terms of domination, if you've watched a lot of tarot readers, you'll see that a lot of people talk about when people have been under spell work, for instance, and say they wake up and then they realise that their free will has been abused and things like that. So one of the things for me is, I want to understand what people think about that, in terms of people actually abusing their positions to actually take somebody's essence and try and control it under some nefarious spell or whatever it is. And I believe, for my whole life, people have done it to me to block my third eye and try and mess with my crown and things like that. So I know that they've tried to suppress me down. And obviously we know that certain foods, that's why we get encouraged to have things that maybe aren't that great for us, because it does block your penal gland. But check that out, that that's separate. But I just wanted to get an understanding of what other people think, because it does seem to be a big thing, especially those whose destinies have been manipulated. We tended to be kept asleep, for one, for a better word, and obviously against one's free will. And as you can see, what's happened to me, taking the house, the cars, this suppressing me from working. I'm stuck in a hotel now. I know they're doing all sorts of stuff around here on me. And obviously I pray and things like that. So I just wanted to get someone's view on that, and see what you think. And also on top of that, I want to do something about the domination in terms of biblical and what the Bible says. So if we think about Genesis and domination, it was a rule over creation and the responsibility to manage, to cultivate God's image and not to exploit it. And that's Genesis 1:2-8. Now, the negative element of domination is the oppression side, and the Israelites enslaved in Egypt in Exodus 13:14, and prophets were condemnation of powerful leaders and crushing the poor. So obviously, what do we see in terms of where we are, in terms of those that have answered the calling? They try and keep us down and take what's our blessings. And I've just done another one on AI, where AI, I don't have a problem with AI. It's just that people who abuse it to steal what isn't theirs and then recreate it and manipulate software to get the benefit of it, hence keeping people down. So if you look at Isaiah 3:14-15, it illustrates the harmful domination of servanthood. True leadership is to serve, not not to take. And if you look at the Bible, Jesus came here to serve, not to be served. And for me, it's like, when did that change, really? And then if you look at like industry, when did the Sabbath not become a day of rest? Interesting, isn't it? So domination of free will, and I've said this again, it's like, people will abuse our choice, manipulate the dark arts using voodoo, witchcraft, hoodoo, and then they abuse their positions of power in the matrix to block you, stop you. I mean, I've had people messing with my bank account and my credit card, and the credit card company gave me a gratuitous payment. So it was obviously clear that someone was doing it. But obviously, somebody who's associated with these people was obviously placed in those places. And then you've got people that will try and send parasites to you and entities. And obviously, I'm looking to get some cleansing because I've got something that somebody sent to me, for a better word. And it happens. I also think it's an earthbound spirit as well that's stuck. And like I said before, I think it's stuck. It doesn't realise that it's actually passed over or it's in transition. So, I've done the most I can and the gentlest way of trying to get it into the light, but I might need some further assistance on that. So I just wanted to understand what your thoughts were, because, there does seem to be this big thing about spirituality is blowing up, and we are spirit, but obviously there is this thing that those who dance in the dark don't understand that the light actually is their salvation, really, because it's the light that will be justice and judgment, irrespective of what you do in the dark. God will always be the judge in the judgment, because the devil isn't, is it? He's just an illusionist, and he'll give you what you want. You keep giving to him, and he'll give you what you want. But when it comes to karma, he'll run, and then the light is the one that sort of like sets you free, basically, but obviously through repentance and surrender and seeking the law of grace, and then obviously reflection and seeing where you went wrong and hopefully finding your way back to the light. Domination is one thing, but to dominate somebody's free will is not really the right way for us all to live, especially when we're all supposed to be of oneness. And as we move more into the new world, that's what it's about. It's not about controlling people. It's not about controlling who has what. And from my perspective, I'd like to know who decided who could live my life without me living it. Who decided that they could be me and I couldn't be me in the matrix? Because that's not what my ancestors wanted, and obviously it was the fruit of their labour, not nobody else's. So it's an interesting one, and it's just one that I want to sort of like explore a little bit, because I do think people do use a lot of manipulation, and they do use the dark arts, whether it's the word witch to suggest certain things to make people think something different about somebody, or it's actually dabbling in the candles and doing everything else that they do. And then there's the ones that go to the extreme and pay people, obviously overseas, who do dabble in all that sort of stuff to basically restrict and control people. And then they go down the whole voodoo route as well, which I don't have a problem with voodoo or hoodoo, because it was actually a healing modality. Somebody decided to mess with it and make it something that was harmful, which is a shame. But that's the world we live in, isn't it? So I just wanted to put one out there to ask the question as to, have you ever been subjected to it? I know I have. Obviously, we see on my recordings the lies that were spread about me, that not one person came and asked if it was true. They just assumed it was, and it's gone on for years. And obviously manipulating the system to do so as well, and abusing certain positions of power, as well as on top of all the other stuff that they've done. So so I just wanted to put one out there, because domination and taking someone's free will is for me, I think it's an abuse of one's power, but also one's human rights. And I know that we listen to a lot of readers, and people say people do love spells and buy that, and they think it's quite innocent, but it's not when you're doing it against somebody that maybe one doesn't love you and wouldn't probably want to be with you anyway. And we have to accept that that's life. Rejection sometimes is protection, and if people could look at it more that way, rather than trying to control someone and hold them back from who they are and who they want to be with, I think that's where it gets quite dangerous. And from my perspective, I mean, obviously I get the impression from my downloads that I was attacked and abused by an ex's. So I don't know whether he's got a harem or whatever, but I was attacked because of their insecurities. And that's how dangerous it can get, really, when you think about someone said something and it escalated, and a whole group of people just came for me. But then on the other side of that, I would say that the person involved obviously had lessons to learn about one, healthy boundaries and closing out karmic cycles. You know, if you've got kids with these people, it doesn't mean you can't interact with them, but you need to have a structure of how you're going to do it and that they don't cross over the boundaries to anything going forward. Because it's not for me to fight these people, it's not my battle. Never was. Hence why I surrendered it, because there was just too many people coming at me all in one go trying to dominate me, all because they've obviously got some healing that they need to do. That's what I'm understanding it is to be anyway. And obviously coming to the hotels, they follow me, you know, and they still do some stuff. And obviously I pray and I just make sure I can get the healing and the cleansing that I need, because you know they've blocked that, but I'm going to try and still get it. But yeah, I just wanted to put it out there, because it seems to be the big thing, that people feel like they have this right to control people and use the dark arts to do so and dominate. And if you look at what it says in the Bible, it's not, it's about to domination is to cultivate in the image of God and not to exploit it. And that's the same, I would say, whether you use the dark arts, you shouldn't be exploiting it. If you've got the gift, great, but use it for good, not for evil. So yeah, so I'm going to love yous and leave yous. I just wanted to put it out there, because I think we've all been exposed to it, family, friends, and whoever. And I think the worst ones are the ones that smile in your face and then behind your back they'll go off and they'll say all sorts of things, and they never give you a right to reply or to actually explain your side of the story, because we know there's always two sides to every story. It's not just one-sided. So yeah, so that's food for thought for today. So I'm going to love yous and leave yous. Take it easy. Hope you have a good day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Sending you lots of love and light.